Hey kids, this is Adam. How you doing? Well, after I filmed my little recap of how our All for One Regime Diabolique game went from my perspective, I realized I left a couple things out, but there was no way that I was going to recut like a 25, 26-minute video. I just didn't have the time, the inclination, the desire. Didn't care all that hard. However, I figured I'd wanted to put something, I was going to let it lie because it was really just about the lackeys and some of our interactions with them. But I realized that I want to talk about my impressions about how the Ubiquity system felt in actual play with somebody that knew what they were doing, running it. Because if you recall, maybe months ago, I ran a game of Desolation, but this was for a local group of people that's just kind of in a state of flux. And so, they've lost their regular gaming spot. The game master, has a different job. So it's, they had a long-standing campaign going, and now they're just kind of meeting and doing one-shots and, trying out different games and, that sort of thing. So they had no real emotional investment in the game. They really didn't have the time or inclination to go look at the system. No real investment in the characters. They were all pre-gen. So, I was able to just kind of run it, cold. And that was neat to see, like, where I needed to have some more, you know, uh, knowledge in the game. Like, what did I grasp intuitively and what did I need to kind of look at some more. But this was more like, okay, well, how is this really supposed to look? And it was also neat to play with a couple other guys that were just have experience and just can kind of pick up systems relatively rapidly. It was like my friend Brian, who was at that one shot I ran, who he's the kind of guy that can pick up a system in 30 seconds, and then he's teaching it to the other guys at the table, which is really convenient. So it was really neat, and I really it sounds a little mushy or whatever, but I kind of feel it's kind of an honor and a privilege to be one of the guys that helps break Runeslinger into actually playing All for One. Because if you watch every once in a while, there's tons of videos back from like 2012. He's like, I'd like to play this game sometime, So the stars have aligned, and he'll get to actually be a player, not a game master, sooner rather than later. So that's kind of neat to be involved in that, because I don't know. There was a time in my life when relationships with people weren't all that important, and it's neat to kind of have a little bit more connection with people. And so, anyhow, that's the mushy part of this video. So I want to cover how the lackeys felt first, really fast, and then give my impression of the playing the Ubiquity system in more detail. So. The lackeys, you get a lackey in All for One. It's kind of an extension of your character. You create another character with much less power or skill. However, they're not quite as talented as your guy is. You do the same thing in something like Leagues of Adventure. Really kind of neat for the troop style play. The shtick, though, is that the one of the other players plays your character, so you're not in the position of talking to yourself. So we had one scene where lackeys really came into play, and my guy is pretty much a very Jacques is makes up for Philippe's lack of social skills and graces and ability to investigate stuff. But he's a drunk when it comes right down. He's a washed up old family servant. JDR the 30s, Briscoeur's lackey is this guy Eugene, who's really a woman who's in love with Briscoeur, masquerading as a man, so he doesn't know that that's a woman, and she's his barber and kind of like fashion consultant, and just kind of prims him, gets him all looking pretty all the time, so he can go out and kill the other ladies. And then Jean Marie, Nolan Inquisitor's lackey, is this kind of grumpy old Italian surgeon. That's really kind of neat. So we had one scene where we actually interacted with them. We left them at home because they just weren't able to make the ride that we needed to make, in the amount of time. However, we all got to play each other's lackeys. So, Francois played Luciano, who tried to actually help Jean-Marie with the wound he received in our little skirmish with the Cardinals Guards, where we trounced them. But, he wanted no part of it. He wanted to go ride at that point. But he was just a grumpy surgeon. And then, Nolan Inquisitor did a great job with Jacques, because Jacques shows up. I forget how he was acting. And so Philippe looks back at him and says, Jacques, are you drunk? And he's like, no. And it was brilliant. Best impression of a drunk guy try to say he wasn't drunk, I've ever seen. And, then I had Eugene kind of fuss all over Briscoeur before we left, and that was kind of a hoot. But looking forward to that. That was really kind of neat to have these extra little characters that you could have some more fun with. Or, I can see how there'd be a lot of potential to have them do other stuff, and maybe even play the lackey in another scene. Maybe doing some of that investigating, or God knows what else they're up to at that point. So that was really kind of neat. But how did the Ubiquity system itself feel? This was a system that I've talked about a lot. It was something that I had a lot of misgivings about initially, because it was just so different. But Anthony kept on talking it up so much that I finally broke down, bought a couple games to really give it a good look. I would say the game, and he even said this, if you want to buy a book that tells you, it gives you the most information about Ubiquity, because there is not a generic system available, but it is a very generic system when it comes right down to it. You get yourself Leagues of Adventure. Which also I'm getting some more. I have some more Leagues of Gothic Horror stuff heading my way actually. Um, those are definitely supplements for both these games by both these by Triple Ace. So, uh, but this one has pretty much the entire system in it. You know, the best source book when it comes right down to it. Was the way he put it. And it is. It really gives you this idea. So what was it like in real play? Well, it really supports, it makes things very fluid. Because the idea is, you know, you get this real impression, like most games, you kind of know, well, how strong is my character, how intelligent are they, all that stuff. But the numbers really just translate instantly into how many dice are you going to roll. That's what all that number means, these binary pass-fail dice. Likewise, when you're skilled in something, you know, this adds more dice to that, you know, little pool. So I'm playing somebody like, let's see if I got Philippe up here. Well, actually, I got Jacques right here. So, you know, he's going to do some kind of a investigation. You know, well, he's got this 3 intelligence. That's 3 dice. He's got a level of 2 in investigation. So now he's going to write, you know, he's going to roll 5 dice. But also here it has your average on the sheet. So it tells you, okay, well, 2 plus dice, which means he automatically has 2 successes, and you roll a 3rd die. You know, 50% of the time he's going to have 3 successes. 50% of the time he's going to have 2 successes. So he's going to pass those kind of tasks with that level of skill, like all the time. And actually, he's got a specialization of research. So if he tries to do anything research-wise, he's, you know, now at that point he's rolling 6 dice. His average is 3. So your character sheet just tells you right off the bat that unless it's a situation where the game master says, no, you need to roll dice at this point, and generally that's something like combat, which is a whole, you know, handled completely differently, you're going to get that many successes every time. So, you know, tasks, situations, conflicts, whatever it happens to be, in Ubiquity generally have a difficulty rating of needing 1 to 6 successes. 1 is painfully easy, 2 is average, 6 is like, you know, good luck. You know, but it seems like in general, most situations you encounter are going to need from 2 to 4 successes. So right off the bat, I tell you, like Jacques, when he's doing some kind of investigation, if it's getting somewhat hard, moderately hard, he's going to succeed. All he needs to do is, you know, go out and say, well, that's what I'm going to go do now. You know, at that point, as long as he has enough booze and not too much in his system. And that's really kind of neat because that does support this idea that you're going to perform at your normal level of competence. It is a little bit odd, you know, at being an OSR guy. And I talk a lot about you don't need to roll for this, you don't need to roll for that. But there's that moment where, okay, like now, you know, I've got a situation that requires some level of success. I'm used to at that point, okay, how come the dice are going to roll? Here, you don't have to do that. Unless it's, you know, when you need to really start rolling the dice is when it's just out of reach. And it's like, you know, that's really, you know, a little bit beyond what my character can normally do. So they're really going to have to put a lot of effort into it. Either it's going to be more of a Hail Mary pass, or you have to start using some of your style points to represent the idea that this is a real stretch for them. So they're going to put all the effort they have into it. Still might be a Hail Mary, but a little bit less of a Hail Mary. I also had the experience of being able to use chance dice, which was really kind of neat. And that's the idea, well, if you're not skilled in a particular area at all, you have no skills whatsoever, at this point you take a -2 die hit. I can't remember exactly what was going on with it, but I imagine it was some kind of willpower based skill at this particular moment. Because, you know, Briscoe passed relatively well. I think he may or may not have had a roll dice. He was pretty darn close. And then I believe Jean-Marie, you know, just passed. He just was skilled enough in that area without, you know, he didn't need to roll dice. He already made the average. Whereas in this case, Philippe, who is pretty much, you know, he's all physical. He's really has very little panache anywhere else at that point. Well, now he's taking this -2 die hit. All you're rolling on at that point is your raw ability score. But because you're unskilled, you're taking 2. Now he's only got 1 die to roll, and I think it required 2 successes. Need an average level of success, which means this is impossible for him to do, unless he's going to do a real Hail Mary. So you can ask the DM, you know, game master for chance dice, but you know, every 2 dice you get, that means you need 1 more success. So I asked for a couple dice. At that point, I'm rolling 3 dice. I need to get all successes, and I did. It's like Hail Mary. So, you know, my musketeer was a good Catholic boy, and so, you know, Mary waved back. You know, in that particular circumstance, it was really kind of neat. I also got my experiences, you know, with just every kind of task that we're faced with. You know, many times, you know, my character, you know, if it was something physical we were writing, it was nothing. It was no big deal for my character because that was what he was good at. You know, the other guys needed to roll, and then, you know, as a result, you know, Briscoe, you know, came with his butt, you know, in a bag next to him. He was falling off after riding that hard because he just didn't, you know, succeed his rolls. He made it the trip, but he was pretty beat up. You know, fortunately, he does not fight with his butt. But made the gameplay very fluid and dynamic. We didn't need to roll dice or invoke abilities that often, but when we did, it was just really intuitive. Okay, just all those times that Briscoe had to con somebody using his social skills, for the most part, he was not rolling dice. He was that good at it. Just looking down at his character sheet. Okay, yeah, he's an average of 3.5, 4 successes all the time. Okay, this is really hard, to really kind of pull one over on the husband of the woman you just slept with last night. Yeah, he's that good. Which just, that made it really kind of the game fluid, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. So it was less. My misgivings were in error in that regard. The other place where it felt a little odd as an OSR guy, but it takes some getting used to, is the idea that, like, in combat, now pretty much when you create an all for one or any kind of Ubiquity character, you're pretty much setting them up for how good they are at combat right off the bat. Like, they may increase in ability later on as you gain experience, but for the most part, you're like, well, this is what this guy's shtick is. He's good. My guy's good with a sword. So he's able to hurt people relatively easily. In fact, he's actually able to parry relatively easily too. So it's harder for him to get hurt, and he'll actually, because I decided to focus my energy in that one area, he can not only parry your blade aside, but hurt you back. Pretty much get 2 attacks in this round, for lack of a better word, this combat turn. What feels odd though is normally if you're coming from like an OSR, D&D type background or whatever it is, you're used to, at that point, if you're that good at combat offensively, then you're going to be that good defensively, via hit points. However, here, your health really doesn't go up in this game. So, my health of this particular character, if I find Philippe here, his health is where is it? It's 5. That's never going to be more than 5. That is his body plus his willpower at this point. And so, he's found himself in this position where, he leapt into a fire. He was supposed to very dramatically push this cultist out of the fire that for some reason isn't getting burned. But, he failed lousily at this roll. We're going to get back to that roll in a second. But, he just didn't do so good at that point. And so he took 3 points of caustic damage at that point. So now I've got pretty much 2 points left. That's, a little odd for me as an OSR guy, but I understand it just represents like real damage happening to these people. So it's, it's just, I don't want to say a learning curve. It's just a different mindset that you still are very fragile. Yes, you are really good at beating other people up, but you're still very fragile, which makes sense though, because I was thinking about it, honestly, if you get into a sword fight with Philippe, statistically, he's going to kill you. He's going to hurt you, which makes a lot of sense. Like if I decide to get in a sword fight with Anthony, well, he's practiced a lot with a katana and God knows what else, and I really haven't. So statistically, he's going to kill me. I might get a good insult in before he, manages to cut my tongue out or what have you, but probably what's going to happen. However, if he takes a blow from something, Runzler gets whacked by a sword or a brick or what else, it's going to hurt. He's going to get really, really hurt. He's a fragile human being when it comes right down to it. Sorry, man, I didn't even call you out, and let people know how fragile you are. But, that's, we get, and so that kind of mimics that idea. That statistically, yeah, so Filippo is going to kill you, but should he take some damage, it's going to take some real damage. So that's just a different, different mindset or approach that I have to kind of remember with that. But, at the end of the day, it was cool. It's just, one of those things you have to remember, okay, just because you're really good at kicking butt doesn't mean you're superhuman, dude. I noticed in that particular moment, I'm not sure if I should have rolled dice or whether I should have taken the average. Maybe I wasn't able to take the average anyway, with this athletics roll. Perhaps it might have been a combat kind of situation-ish. Maybe I was called to actually make a roll, but that was one of those moments. I shouldn't have failed. I had this really heavy, synergistic athletics and acrobatics ability at that point, which, are able to add more dice. I think that synergistic moment, I could add 2 more dice. And I think I even add some style points to this because I really just wanted to push him out as fast as I could. And I think I rolled like 2 successes or something. And then this guy rolled as many and able to hold his ground. Yes, I think it was probably a pose roll at that point. I think that's why I actually had to roll. So that was one of those monumental, how did you fail that? Moments. Which, that's normal though in gaming. Sometimes if you're going to roll something like D&D, well, you're going to roll a 1 every once in a while. So pretty much what happened was I rolled a 1 at this crucial cliffhanger moment. But overall, my impression of the Ubiquity system was that once you get the there's one other part. Sorry for making this long, but here we go. The style points. That was something that I'm still, as a player, I need to get a little bit better in terms of describing my what I'm doing with some more panache, because that will earn you some style points back. Francois was phenomenal at this sort of stuff, saying how he was doing something. And so yes, he was spending style points to perform this, and I believe Sebastian as well. Inquisitor was really good at that. So they did something particular cinematic rate, really in line with how their character's supposed to behave. And so yes, they cost them 2 style points to really push their success over this. But Runesinger was like throwing them 2 style points right back. Like, dude, that was great. So the style points worked really well in terms of boosting, not only mechanically boosting and saying this is going to represent my character pushing himself above and beyond his normal ability, but also just when you took the time, like you're supposed to in these games, to describe it with some flair, like how exactly am I doing this? Not only your success can kind of earn you some style points back, which is just game. There's no rule for that. It's just how the game master decides to interpret this, and the style points should flow back and forth all the time. But also like you're describing it with some panache, that'll help. So that's something I have to like remind myself that I'm not just toss a couple points in, but like do some more narration. So overall, yeah, I found the Ubiquity system was very fluid, very intuitive. And it doesn't take too long to kind of just look and just look at the averages and realize, okay, this is pretty much how good this guy is. And even just setting difficulties, I can see just how easy it was to kind of say, okay, well, this is probably pretty average. It's a 2. This is getting moderately hard. It's 3. Getting really hard 4. That sort of thing, and kind of reserving things like 1 success or needing 5 or 6 successes for these really kind of extreme moments, which we really didn't encounter really extreme moments for the most part. They might have had a couple of things where just needed 1 success, which is just like okay, whatever, you want a little bit, but really enjoyed how the system actually works. So if you're thinking about getting some kind of Ubiquity game, thinking about trying this, I'm really just kind of thinking about what else can I use this system for, because it is a really neat generic system to kind of apply to all kinds of stuff. So it requires you buy a source book, like something like Leagues of Adventure or All for One or what have you. But really, I could just see how it would be useful in so many different genres and styles of play. So among the other things I'm going to do this year is hopefully think of like, what else can I use this for? That's not actually a published game, but just some kind of genre or whatnot. Maybe I'll apply it to something like some of the concepts in the Eclipse phase. Who knows? But anyhow, another long video. But you people love to watch me, so I'm doing you a favor. Have a good one.